I started a theft ring at my work as a teenager for over 5 years. Not actually a theft ring, but I don't really know how to describe it. Accepted bribes to commit theft for others? I worked in food and beverage, as a cashier in a very small restaurant/cafe type thing. Our little cafe branched off the main building where it was pretty much just me, a cook, and a couple other cashiers, rotating working days. Managers rarely came out to our location unless we called them or they were bored. We only really served a very specific crowd with pretty much the same people every day. One day, a regular customer came up to me and ordered and stated he didn't have money on him and asked if we could start a tab on paper for IOUs. I said sure. Eventually, he just kept adding things to the tab and said he would pay it off when the number was a little bigger. One day when nobody was in the restaurant, he said to me that he would pay me directly a percentage of his tab and that I would just make it disappear. So when his tab was over $100, he would give me like $40-60-ish and I would just rip up his tab like nothing happened. I never once put any of his food into the system, just wrote it down on a loose piece of paper and kept it in the drawer. Other cashiers could add things to his tab but could not cash it out. When other cashiers would ask where his tab went, I would tell them he paid it off and I would print out a long fake receipt showing that he paid, and they believed me. I told them only I could cash out his tab since I was stand captain. 1 to 2 more regulars caught on and did this as well. I only did it for the regulars I trusted. Eventually, after the years went by, I got a little comfortable and I would lie to the regulars and say their tab was higher than it was just to get a little more money. I would say $200 instead of $150, nothing too extreme. I mean, as a 15 to 18-year-old, getting $40 to $80 pocket cash here and there was the best thing. I actually saved enough from the theft, working wage and tips to buy my first car. Now I worked for $1 million billion company. I'm glad I did not work for a family-owned business at the time. Looking back at it, I didn't even comprehend that was theft. Now I'm like, OMG, jail time. I knew I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing, but I wanted the cash, got away with it, and didn't think it was a crime. I mean, I don't exactly regret it. My excuse is now that these were grown men, knowing exactly what they were doing, asking a 15-year-old to commit theft. Maybe they thought if I got caught, I was a minor so the penalty wouldn't be bad? Or that's how rich people stay rich, by being cheap and committing crimes. I could never do that now. A piece of lint once fell out of my pocket in the grocery store and I picked it up immediately because I thought karma would get me for littering. Welcome to adulthood anxiety. Teenager me had balls. Thoughts. I still don't think I would ever tell my company what I did. I stole my mom's credit card when I was 10, got away with it. Self-explanatory title, but I'll elaborate. When I was 10, I was really into Minecraft. I particularly enjoyed playing on the server Hypixel, where they have a number of ranks you can pay for to unlock additional features to enhance your gaming experience. I desperately wanted a rank on the server, but my parents weren't interested in funding my gaming addiction for entirely fair reasons. So when I realized my mom's card information was saved onto the computer, I did some devious investigating. I was certain there'd be an extra security question and that the charge wouldn't go through. I was really only half joking to myself as I messed around thinking, wouldn't it be funny if this worked though? And next thing I know, I had a rank on Hypixel. As a 10-year-old, the ease of that transaction bestowed upon me a dark power I didn't know how to handle. Not long after, I maxed out my rank on the server and showed it off to my online friends. I didn't have many real ones at the time. Being eager to impress and unaware of the consequences of my actions, I offered to share in my newfound glory, asking all of my online crew if they wanted ranks too. Some of them even said I didn't need to do that, but I insisted. $130 later, my mom saw the charge on her bank statement. I denied my involvement adamantly and just burst into tears as I was entirely unprepared to face the music. I was probed with questions that I either avoided or vaguely answered until my family conjured a story to explain what had happened. They eventually decided not that I was a stupid child that did a bad thing, but that I'd been hacked by one of my online friends. Obviously, I knew this wasn't true, but I went along with it because the truth was infinitely more humiliating. It wasn't an entirely impossible explanation either. I would message one of these friends on Skype, so it wouldn't have been a stretch to imagine that I could have accidentally offered too much personal information in conversation or otherwise. My mom contacted the server moderators to refund the charge, but as part of their policy my account was banned from the server, and presumably all of my online friends by extension. I'm not sure, I never dared to talk to them again. After a lecture on internet safety and stranger danger, life moved on, and I've only ever disclosed my sins to one other person. When I think about it now, I'm not sure if I believe I actually got away with it, or if my parents saw how distraught I was and decided to spare me the confrontation by creating an alternative explanation. 10 years later, I still haven't asked and don't plan to. I haven't done anything similar since, as I still definitely learned my lesson. The guilt haunted me for years. But now when there's something I want online, at least I'm a grown adult who can pay for it himself. I, 18M, stole money from my uncle and used it to sell old food at school. Back when I was 15, I ended up staying with my grandparents, my uncle, and my cousin, all in one house. Since they lived closer to my school, that way my mom wouldn't spend money on gas. There was a donut shop on the walk to school, and I had no way of making money. One day, I was bringing in the mail after school and had to put my uncle's mail in his room while he was gone. I put a single letter on his bedside table and noticed a $20 sticking out of the drawer. I had an idea and grabbed it. The next day, I walked over to that donut shop and found out they sold one-day-old donuts in a set of 12 for $10. I bought the box and got a fresh one for myself. I went to school and intended to give the donuts so my friends when they showed up, but someone asked if they had one. When I said no, she offered to buy one from me. That made me realize people were willing to buy donuts before school, and so I agreed to sell it to her. For the next 2 years, I walked around school every morning, selling a dozen donuts every day and making a small profit without telling everyone they were day-old ones. After a while, I ended up buying 2 boxes a day and selling those all before school. I eventually earned enough to put $20 back in my uncle's room, and he never suspected I was the one that took it. I feel bad for stealing from my uncle, as he passed away a few months after I slipped the money back into his room, but I got a few Switch games and a used Game Boy Advance online from the other money I had. I stole money from a taxi driver when I was younger, and I keep thinking about it. I stole money from a taxi driver when I was younger, about 8. The guy had been a taxi driver my mom had hired to pick my siblings and I from school while she was working. I was in Ghana then. The guy wasn't the best taxi driver. My mother got angry at him once when he drove miles away from our house to drop off another customer when he was supposed to drop us first. He even passed by our house, and he ignored me and my siblings when we told him to drop us off so we can walk. It was a short distance. Anyway, he left the taxi with us in it. One day after school he went to get something, and the money was there sitting out in the open. It was about 20 Ghana cedis. And I remembered that he wasn't the best person. So I took the money, only 10 cedis. I remember sharing it with my siblings and buying lunch at school with it. Now I've moved to England and I think about it regularly as a teen and feel guilty, but I honestly just want to move on, as it was years ago. I want to get it off my chest. Anyway, I just thought to share it on an anonymous app where people offer the best advice. Is there anything I should do? I can't pay him back. I can only think about it. I've lost $200,000 in the past 3 years gambling. I, 25M, have a serious gambling problem, and I'm not sure who to go anymore. It all started in the middle of COVID with $25 here and there. Betting on sports and playing blackjack for fun. Never really was a big issue. Never betting more than I could handle. Never betting more than I could handle. I have a great job. I have a great job that pays me $100K plus a year. I still live at home and pay the little necessities like rent and bills. In 2022, it got bad. I lost about $80,000 without anybody knowing, my entire life savings gone. I called 1-800-GAMBLER, got myself banned from my respective state from all casinos and online, and even told my mother about it. I was doing good for about 3 months, and then 2023 hit and I found this app where I could bet cryptocurrency. So I started there, entering in $500 here and there. I want help, I know I need help, and I get into these moods where I just can't stop even though I know it's bad. I can't help myself. Been through all the swings. The gamblers have the winnings, the losings. I'm unaware of what to do and where to go. I lost it all last night. I've been up all night thinking about it. I feel lost and very tired.